Hey guys, Marc Bauman here from House Recording Studios, located in Plainview, Long Island, New York. And right now I'm going to give a demonstration and a tutorial on the JK Audio Broadcast Host, which is a telephone audio interface used to send and receive audio over analog telephone lines. When would one want to use the broadcast host? Well, there's two applications that I use it for here at my studio. One of which is when I'm conducting a voiceover session that requires a producer to be listening into the session from a remote location. I'm able to route the audio coming from the voiceover talent in my live room through the broadcast host so the producer can now hear everything that's happening in the session. The other application that I'll be using this device for is when I'm conducting a radio show or a radio interview here, where I'll have a couple people in the live room and they need to be able to accept calls throughout the session. Hey, we're going to receive a call from Bob now, who's going to share his experience using XYZ product. Bob will call in, and now I'll be able to route that caller audio through a dedicated track in Pro Tools, recording that, making it part of our session. So those are two great applications that I use the broadcast host for. Now I'd like to go into the signal flow and the routing at which I use this device here at my studio. So I'm coming out of the XLR caller output and I'm patching it into any Pro Tools input of my choice on my Redco patch bay here, okay? The cable I'm using that's allowing me to do this is called an XLR to Bantam cable, okay? XLR to Bantam cable, and I had Redco Audio make that for me. So again, I'm coming out of the XLR caller output, I'm patching into any Pro Tools input of my choice. In this case, it happens to be an input that I titled to be GML4, okay? GML4. So I'm just gonna quickly hop over to my Pro Tools window here, where I created a track called Caller. Now, I just want to simply set the input of that track to correspond to what I took the caller output and patched it into, which again was GML4, so I set the input of this track to GML4. It's as simple as that. Now I have caller audio being routed into this track in Pro Tools. If I'd like to manipulate the volume or the gain coming into this track, real simple, all I do is hop back over to the front panel of the broadcast host and turn the caller gain up until the level is right coming into that track. Done deal. Below that track, I have another track called VO, okay? Which is the dedicated track for the voiceover talent in my live room, okay? Now I need to be able to send audio coming from that track through the broadcast host so the caller can now hear that audio, okay? So I'm just gonna hop into my mix window, and this top section of the mix window right here is where you have your inserts. So if I wanted to add a plugin, maybe an EQ or a little compression to a track, that's where I would do that. But below that is where you have what's called your sends, okay? Your sends. Now, if I just click on, any one of these parameters in the send section, let's say like, right here, what would happen is, I've already created a send here. But if I click on this, you don't want to click on bus, because that will send signal internally within Pro Tools, okay? I want to send signal out of Pro Tools. So I'm just going to go to my output right here and select any output of my choice, okay? Any output of my choice, which I'm just going to select output 4, okay? Output 4. And then you get this fader that pops up like so. You want to make sure that the fader is at unity gain or 0 dB, okay? By default, it'll be all the way down at -infinity, but again, you want to make sure that that is at 0 or unity gain, okay? So now, since I selected output 4 on that send, I'm going to go back to my patch bay, patch out of output 4 on my patch bay, again using that Bantam to XLR cable, and into the send 1 input, okay? The send 1 input on the broadcast host. Now, this is, routing signal from that track through the telephone line, so the caller will now be able to hear that audio coming from that track. And if I want to manipulate the volume of that audio, I could do so right here with this parameter right here, send 1, until the volume is right coming into the telephone line, and the caller is content with the volume of, the audio coming from that track. And it's really as simple as that. It's a great device. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. I have wonderful things to say about the technical support at JK Audio. They've been very knowledgeable and thorough and professional on the phone. And it's definitely a device that's worth looking at for sure. Yeah, thanks so much for watching this video, and happy engineering.